Hi, my name is Koketso, and I'll be doing a book review on Tabang Tlaka's Corrupting Virgins. So I'll just basically give you an overview of what my perceptions or my reflections were about the book, some of my favorite parts, some of the highlights of the book for me. So initially when I saw the title of the book, I obviously did not necessarily think that it was going to be about what I read about. If you read the subtitle of the book, Standing for Truth in a Jungle of Opinions, and you get to understand what the book is about, you realize, whoa, actually, the title was, a bit, it's very different from what your mind generally perceives. And it's so funny because that's the first perception that you have of the title Corrupting Virgins is not on the side of actually standing your ground, but it's more like somebody trying to provoke you and give you advice on how to do that, and which is some of the things that society actually advocates for these days. And I really did like the way that Tabang played out the stories, how he put the characters into play, gave them their different names, and understanding of what each person's role was, how they fit into the story. So my first the first thing that I like to talk about is when is the first train that they get on. So we have a group of young teenagers who go from home and they want to go to, let's call it a promised land, the village of virtue, where all their dreams, all their heart's desires, all that has been waiting for them in their line of maintaining who they are is awaiting for them at that place. And they get on what we call a train of testing. I liked that very much. I liked actually the name of that. I liked the train of testing because in my mind it was actually the training of testing, because it offered platforms for them to test up the principles by which they themselves had thought that they had, and which their parents had also instilled in them, which they left home to the village of virtue to go and explore, and on their way, these virtues, these principles of theirs get tested. They get on a place where everything that they had built up, the walls and the pillars of strength that they had placed, gets to be tested, And I remember in one of in the beginning, they meet a voice that's going to introduce them to the train. And when they ask, okay, when is the train coming? The voice says to them that the train will approach when the sun hides its face completely, So when there's darkness, the train of testing will come. And that was very profound for me, because I thought that's actually the very place in which most of the tests actually, the most stern and genuine test comes when there's nobody watching you, when there's nobody there to give you a round of applause for all the things that you've done. But in our darkness, and when nobody's watching, that's actually where we actually get to see whether or not the principles that we had put up are actually there genuinely, or if we're just putting up a face for people. And when the sun hides its face, where there is darkness, where there is no light, and where nobody can see you and give you a round of applause for being a great person, that is actually where the biggest test is, because we like the public appearances and stuff, but I think the biggest principles for me is knowing that anything that I can put up in public, I can maintain even in my private space, So I really did like that a lot. One of my favorite chapters from the book actually is with the beginning of the train of testing, which is where they are on their way to the village of virtue, and this is where the first test, are put into place and stuff like that. But I liked how also Tabang was able to integrate a lot of biblical principles within the storytelling, and we see even in some of them the parts where the girls and the boys are speaking, there's the belt of truth, where it will push away the two-faced tongue that's going to come and try and change all the things that you have wanted to do, and there's the golden scroll, that reminds them of the truth that their parents and that their hearts always desire and are wanting to know. So when anytime there's a temptation, anytime there's a problem, the scroll is always there to do that. I also like how Tabang gave each of them their names. There's people like Virgin Vui, there's like Virgin Moody, there's Virgin Selective, there's Virgin Boy, there's Virgin New, there's Virgin, this and Virgin that. And I like the prefix name of their names, because if you look at Virgin, I don't simply want to look at it from a sense of, the typical way that we look at what virgin means, but in the biological sense of, not having engaged in any intercourse or anything like that. But I like to look at it in the wider sense of that word, having a virgin mind, having a virgin heart, and I like that that's who they came into the picture being, and that's who they left also, who they reached the village of virtue being. So that word itself simply means something that's been untouched, and I like that because even God himself wants a virgin mind, he wants a virgin heart, because something that already has things written upon them, it's very hard to work with. Have you ever worked with a person who knows too much? It's hard to bring in any new ideas because they already have a blueprint of everything else that they want, and for some people, even within the story, you realize that it was very hard for them to continue holding on to their own parts because of things that were easily imprinted upon them. But it's amazing that these are the people that have the virgin hearts, the virgin minds, and they're easy to work with. And when the Spirit speaks, when the scroll speaks to them, when the Maker of all speaks to them, they're able to hear because they don't have too many voices running around them, telling them what to do and changing their perspective, So I like that part as well. So I really think it's a great book. I really encourage a lot of people to go and read it. I encourage it for young people that are just, hitting varsity, people still in high school. Actually, read it while you're still in high school so that you are able to get the establishment right there. So, so that your principles, who you are, can be fully established when you are still young. A child is like wet cement, and whatever falls onto them is engraved. So it's very good when you start establishing your principles, your virtues, while you are still young, so that when you grow and times change and tests come, you are able to, the word, all the principles that you have, all the pillars, are able to always remind you of what exactly it is that you want, what you have always wanted. Another part that I did like towards the end, when Virgin Vui, Virgin Boy, Virgin, and they had come to the village of virtue, they were speaking to one of the ladies that was there, and Virgin Vui is walking with this lady, and she says to Virgin Vui, ask your question. And Virgin Vui is surprised and says, oh, okay, how did you know that I had a question? And the lady responds and says that, are we not walking together? And that was also quite profound for me, because it reminded me of the scripture that says that can two walk together unless they're in agreement, and because she said to Vui that I know you want to ask something because you and I are walking together, and by virtue of us walking together, it means that our hearts, our minds, our spirit are all intertwined, such that I can feel whatever it is that you are feeling inside, and I think that's very important, especially when you are having a relationship with God, to walk with God, to know that everything that is in your mind, that is in your heart, God knows it, and equally you know what is in the heart of God, and whatever His plans are for your life, you too know that as well. And it was so really amazing to just hear, even the way Tabang wrote it, that are we not walking together, that is quite nice. I also love the fact that from the beginning to the end, they kept speaking about the fire that is in their hearts, the fire that allows them to push forward and go to wherever it is that they want to go, that their plans have been predestined to go. That is exactly what the heart in their fire is all about. It reminds me of the time when Paul wrote to Timothy and he says that I urge you to fan into flames the spiritual gift that God gave you when I first laid my hands upon you. For God has not given us the spirit of fear and timidity, but that of power, of love, and of a sound and a disciplined mind, And like I said, there's a lot of scriptural references in the book. So that in itself just reinforces the type of fire that God gives us in our hearts. It's the heart that's got love, that's got power, that's got a sound and a disciplined mind that pushes forward, that pushes with the fruits of the Holy Spirit, love, joy, peace. It advocates for that, and this book really speaks about that. It speaks about advocating for the right type of lifestyle, for advocating for your principles, where society tries to raise its voice at you to change who you are, but you remember that you stay and you continue being the person who you understand God has made you to be. And even if people don't necessarily agree with what you have and where you are going, but where you understand your journey, it will be difficult for anybody else to try and change it. So this book is really great, and I encourage you, if you have not read it, get yourself one and read it, and give it to your younger siblings, give it to people around you, even adults, because it's not just young people that go through battle of the mind, battle of ideas, battle of principles and virtues, but even older generations also go through that. So I really do encourage this book. Thank you, Tabang, for writing a wonderful piece of art. I'm a very visual person, so with the stories I get to picture what the train looked like. When they say that a stick like man came out, you picture that. There's a lot of humor as well, so don't think this is all serious things. Tabang writes about Nyaubre boys and the type of ways that they speak. So it's a really, really wonderful book, and I really encourage you to get it.